And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
All right, for Monday morning's flying weather, good VFR here across southern Alaska, even the eastern Bering Sea here, and a band of IFR with that front here slowly moving eastward, not quite making it to Nikolsky tonight, or at least the eastern Aleutians, and then improving behind the front, Adak and Atka. And some marginal VFR up here over the northwest interior, Seward Peninsula areas into the Kobuk Valley, almost Koyukuk Valley here. And then along the Arctic coast, some marginal VFR. Eastern interior, good. Northern Panhandle stays VFR, but this area of lower conditions coming up with that big storm out in the Gulf or the Northeast Pacific. Spreading IFR in over the southern Panhandle during the night tonight. And then for tomorrow, that makes a good push up to the north, covering all of the southeast coast. Yakutat eastward, almost to Cordova, marginal VFR, trying to get into Prince William Sound, but not quite making it by afternoon. So pretty good day there, especially for Valdez. See an increase in the clouds, Valdez and Portage, but that's about it. Staying VFR for Cook Inlet, the Madawaska Valley, all the way up to the North Slope. And then for Tuesday morning, West Coast here, including Nunivak, St. Lawrence Island, stay VFR, marginal VFR for the Pribilofs as that front really weakens now, not even producing much in the way of IFR except up over the northern Bering Sea. Good VFR off the Arctic coast now, and that extends down into the Alaska Range. Now we have some marginal VFR trying to push into Turnagain Arm with IFR, say over Whittier and Prince William Sound, down possibly into Resurrection Bay. Marginal VFR up over the eastern Copper River Basin. Then some more IFR there along the southeast coast. Out to the west, another batch of IFR there for the western Aleutians. Then for the afternoon, that becomes a little bit more widespread out here, but progresses only to about Adak. Marginal VFR covering the Bering Sea now up to Nunivak Island and the St. Lawrence Island area, down across the Pribilofs to the eastern Aleutians and the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula. Stays really nice here over the interior for Tuesday afternoon. Good VFR. South central Alaska, actually the Susitna, Madawaska Valley areas, Copper River Basin northward to the Arctic coast, and Kodiak Island, VFR, Fognak Island though marginal, and this band of IFR here right along the North Gulf Coast and down off the north coast of the Panhandle, otherwise marginal VFR for the southeast coast. And for passes, Anatuvik and Adigan, another VFR day shaping up for both those passes there in the Brooks Range. Alaska Range as well, good VFR. Lake Clark, Merrill, rainy, windy. And for Isabel and Mentasta, all have VFR. All will be VFR tomorrow on either entrance, and Tanita as well. Portage VFR. Chilkoot and White, though, looking for a deterioration in conditions pretty rapidly, starting out VFR and then falling to IFR by the end of the day, if not sooner. And then for freezing levels here, 2,000 feet edging up. This is for tomorrow morning, edging up into Cross Dixon entrance there. Otherwise, at the surface there, down across the southern Panhandle, south of the North Gulf Coast, Kodiak Island, Alaska Peninsula, then right up the west coast here. And then with the southerly flow in that milder air, we've got about 4,000 feet over the central Aleutians. Icing, some lingering icing here with the first surge of moisture into the Pribilof Islands down to the eastern Aleutians. And then with the main system out here, some more icing, but the moderate icing staying out over the central Bering Sea, just lighter stuff down to Adak and Atka. Icing free over the interior, maybe getting clipped on the central Arctic coast there with the threat of some isolated moderate rime icing there. And a much better chance, in fact, the best chance of anything significant in the way of icing will be from about Yakutat on down the southeast coast. And the jet stream here, 33,000 feet, 140 knots there, west-southwest of the Queen Charlotte Islands, coming northward, but diminishing as it reaches the coastline of the Panhandle. Otherwise, northeasterlies at about 75 knots here, coming around this upper-level high there over the just eastern Seward Peninsula area. And then southerlies way out here to the west, 80 to 110 knots there. as this low stays way out to the west. And for 9,000 feet, again, strongest winds out here, just catching St. Lawrence Island, or just to the west there, and about 65 knots up over the northwest bearing. Westerlies, 50 knots for the western Aleutians. And then we've got northeast winds, still pretty brisk here. Easterlies, 65 knots right across the Copper River Basin, turn northerly at about 40 knots, or 45 knots there east of Kodiak Island. Then some strong southerly winds here coming up into the Panhandle, 80 to 85 knots, 3,000 feet. 85 knot southeast or southerly winds there for the Queen Charlottes, and those strong wind that strong wind pattern shifting into the southern southeast coast, and it turns easterly, 85 knots right over Yakutat. And then we've got 60 knot easterlies right over Cook Inlet, and also another band in here. And then on the lee side of the Alaska Range and out to the west, southerly winds, milder temperatures, anywhere from 40 to 65 knots, blowing all the way up into the Chukchi Sea. Turbulence-wise, with that, areas of moderate turbulence here, St. Matthew Island, St. Lawrence Island, Seward Peninsula, and up along the lee side of the DeLong Mountains and Brooks Range there, including Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, maybe Point Lay down to possibly Kivalina. Otherwise, look for a widespread area of moderate turbulence here for the Panhandle, all of the North Gulf Coast, Cook Inlet down to Fognac Island, and much of the southeast interior.